Dirty Sports Podcast. I said, welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy Ruther and Joe Prano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Port Hueneme, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
Happy morning to you. Early morning to you.
Early. Hair's looking good, though. Look at this. Showered right before I went to bed. Got a good swoop going there. Let's go.
That's a sleep swoop.
That's a sleep swoop. Here we go.
Why aren't you in Rams gear?
I don't own any, but I gotta buy some.
Oh, you know how much I'm enjoying this?
I'm assuming as much as I'm not enjoying it. The Rams fan thing, like, I know it's like, LOL, I'm a Rams fan. It's like, I think I'm a Rams fan. Like, I am at the point now, and I mocked the Yankees fans about this. The Yankees with their history and their 27 rings and their whatever. It's like, you guys haven't won shit since George Steinbrenner died. And like, ownership is everything. Oh, we've talked about it across sports. I am now at a point where I'm like, we got a couple Les Miles titles while Wellington was still, warm. But since then,
well, here's what I'll say about that.
And listen, there's a lot of one of the many ownership decisions that tells me that you're extremely lost was Beergate. So who's really running the show over there? And we're now at a point where it's just like I have no I don't know any person who understands the game of football at all that can explain this to me at all. A little bit. This doesn't compute.
So what is the plan? Is it almost like
the plan is to go 6-11 and draft 10th again next year and not get the quarterback that you need to turn this franchise around, and not get an offensive tackle that you need to turn this franchise around, and not get you just to live in no man's land. But we're not tanking. That's what's important. We're too proud of franchise. We don't tank.
But again, what I was going to say was like, it's interesting. So
don't forget, the Eagles tanked a couple years ago to keep the New York Football Giants out of the playoffs, to move up to get to Devontae Smith.
No, but I was going to say, so the Steelers last year, like the whole two quarterback thing, the two quarterback guys who've been in the league, the Steelers went with that last year. And to be honest, I didn't hate that, because it was like, oh, could Justin Fields, a new team, could that give him life? Same thing for Russ. Like, he's old. Is he washed? Like, could that give him life? Now, look, it didn't work out the way they wanted, but
it worked out as poorly as it can work out in the game of football.
But what do you mean?
The Steelers didn't win a single fucking playoff game.
But I didn't hate that, though, to be honest.
But the Steelers didn't win a single fucking playoff game. The Steelers draft 20th, and Mike Tomlin's still there because we win 10 games every year.
I know, but let me make my point though real quick. Like I didn't hate that, because it was like, let's just test this. We do have at least a formidable team. It didn't work out. Sure. My point is comparing it to the Giants. those aren't comparisons because the Giants didn't make the playoffs last year. They don't have the team around them as much as the Steelers did.
But Andy, what you don't understand is my worst case scenario as a Giants fan. Worst case scenario, the worst possible thing that can happen to me this season if I do not fully convert to being a Rams fan, which I'm not fucking joking about, is for us to be the 2024 Pittsburgh Steelers.
They won't even. They're not gonna get 9 wins. They're not gonna get 10 wins.
What you don't understand is I don't want 9 wins.
No, I know. I am understanding. I'm just saying in general. I don't like. So the plan would be. Is this a Russ, Jameis Winston quarterback battle for the starting job? Is it Russ? Is like like what is it?
I like that you're asking. My football team signed Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. And
you have the 3rd pick. Let's not forget you have the 3rd pick, which means you could also still take a quarterback.
My sources tell me
no, they're not.
If Shedeur Sanders was good at quarterback, we wouldn't be signing Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston.
That makes sense.
Now, don't even get me started on the conversation about Shedeur Sanders off the field behavior and having concerns about a guy who shoved a ref because Jameis Winston raped a girl. But to go back to the point, you're asking me. I have done this show for a long time. I have a pretty fucking good track record of evaluating quarterbacks. The New York Football Giants just signed, in my opinion, 2 of the single worst QBs that have played since we started this show based on getting guys who are going to be successful and lead your team.
I would disagree with that,
and
about Russ.
Right. But again, everybody would disagree with that about Russ right up until the Seattle Seahawks went, maybe we're not winning 10 games every year because of our quarterback who can't get rid of the ball fast enough.
But
maybe
they did.
Time, right. But maybe the whole time it was our coach. Maybe the whole time it was our defense. Maybe we should let go the guy who's making $30 million and give it to Geno Smith, who's now getting $30 million from somewhere else for immediately becoming Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but again, I disagree there because even when the defense went to shit, they were still winning 10, 11 games.
Right. When they had a top 5 defense, they were Super Bowl contenders.
You could say for any QB.
Right.
For the most part.
When they were a top 5 defense, they were Super Bowl contenders. And when they were a top 12 defense, you couldn't tell the difference between Geno Smith playing and Russell Wilson playing unless you check their numbers.
I completely disagree with that.
Well, you can disagree all you want, but
history will stand. One is a borderline cusp Hall of Famer, and one is not.
One's Hall of Fame career has hit the fucking skids since he left Seattle.
Well, yeah, he's old. I mean,
he's old. He's old now.
Well, I'm saying you reach a certain point.
His teammates fucking hate him. He holds the ball too long. He's never had any sort of deep playoff success without a top 5 defense. My point is, you're asking me to determine. No, it is true. He's still
won playoff game.
We've done
this.
Playoff.
I know you hate Russ.
It doesn't matter. He's had no deep playoff success without a top 5 defense. He hasn't. He has not. When has he won more than a single playoff game since his first 5 years in the league?
Okay, well, I would counter that with you could go with a lot of QBs who haven't had deep playoff success without top 5 defenses. That's kind of the hallmark now of playoff success. You could go to all those Patriots teams, man. Most of them have top 5 defenses. Is my point.
No, that's not true.
It is
top
true.
5 defenses.
It is
That's
true.
not true.
It
Tom
is
Brady
true.
won a Super Bowl with like the 28th ranked defense.
I'm not saying he hasn't, but I'm saying most of those runs, even for Mahomes lately, those have been top 5 defenses.
What do you mean lately? Patrick Mahomes has been in the league 6 years. He won a fucking Super Bowl with a 25th ranked defense or whatever.
I don't think he ever had a 25th ranked defense. You can't look. Here's my thing. You're making me defend Russ early here.
All I'm saying is Russell. Listen, everybody did it when he was in Seattle, and I was the one guy standing alone on an island saying it. And here's what happened. Pete Carroll came around 5 years after I did. His teammates fucking hated his guts, openly and actively.
I'm not disagreeing with him as a person.
Fucking hated his guts openly and actively. His teammates said, "Why are you paying him and not us?" The second they paid him, they got worse. The second they paid him, their defense got worse. The second they paid him, they never played in the NFC Championship game again.
I know, Joe, but my point is, my counter again is, you could say this for almost all, like so many good QBs of the second they got paid, the team gets worse. But like there are like Patrick Mahomes is an outlier in a lot of ways.
Patrick Mahomes is an outlier. Josh Allen's an outlier. Aaron Rodgers is an outlier. Like, all these guys.
Aaron Rodgers never went to a Super Bowl since he got paid.
Aaron Rodgers went to 4 straight NFC Championship games or whatever. We're not talking about a guy, Russell Wilson, and then it gets to the point where they go, "Hey, maybe just Geno Smith can win us 10 games," and then Geno Smith's like, "I can win you 10 games."
But again, I think that's a in my opinion a total shit comparison when you have one guy who is, without a doubt, he's going to be a borderline Hall of Famer, and one guy who's not. So like, I don't like comparing. Comparing Geno Smith's career to Russell Wilson's career is ridiculous.
Yeah, like, it is, because one guy sucked until he got to the Seahawks, and one guy sucked when he left the Seahawks. And Russell Wilson played on the Seahawks longer with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson.
But Russell Wilson, even now, like Russ doesn't suck. He's not a great quarterback. He's a mid-level. He doesn't suck.
He doesn't suck. So the Denver Broncos ate $75 million because he doesn't suck.
He didn't play well in Denver, that's for sure. He doesn't suck.
I would argue he does in fact suck.
You would argue he sucks.
Yes. Which is why I'm fucking furious that my team drafted him, because he is now on a team that isn't going to protect him. He wasn't very good at getting rid of the ball when he was getting protected.
Look, I don't disagree that he holds on to the ball too long. I think that's always been a problem for him since day one. He holds on to the ball too long, for sure. But again, we're kind of going off on an old dirty sports argument of Russell Wilson, and you and I don't agree on that. But at the end of the day, you have Jameis, you have Russ, and let's say Russ is the starter and plays like shit. You're just going to insert like, it's interesting because there are also 2 different types of quarterbacks. One's way more conservative, is not going to turn the ball over as much, and you have one who's just going to sling it everywhere.
Yeah. There is no logical explanation for doing this. Here is the fucking logical explanation for doing this, and the only thing that holds water at all. The coach and the GM know if they win 2 games, they're getting fired. So they want to win 8. Which, guess what? Good for those guys wanting to have fucking jobs and careers in the NFL. But that doesn't help my fucking football team. And stupidly, the team has gone and fired. Well, first of all, they hired unqualified people. Again, this is what makes me go, maybe you guys just don't know what the fuck you're doing anymore. But you hired unqualified people. You're hiring special team coaches. You're hiring Pat Shurmur. You're hiring fucking Aaron Rodgers, fucking water boy. And then you're firing them immediately for being bad. And it's like you're going to put a bad product on the field, and then you're going to punish the coach and the GM for being bad. Brian Daboll got there, immediately went to the playoffs, immediately won a playoff game. Like, he can coach. But at the same time, if you are going to go, well, let's build a team that can win 8 games, fire everybody. Fire fucking everybody. Because if that's your approach, if your approach is, I just want to win 8 games and not get fired, then you are the worst potential coach. You have the worst potential of anybody. Give me fucking Ben McAdoo to win 2 games. They have done this. They've done this 5 of the last 9 years where they don't play bad enough to get the people that are going to turn around your fucking franchise.
Do you think the perennial curse is real?
I mean, listen, you're like, it's I'll tell you what, it's offensive to me on multiple levels, because the Andy Ruther curse, like, not only covers every single sport it touches, it covers like all of life. And now all of a sudden, like, we're acting like,
I'm just saying.
No, I know, but we're acting like one of my single franchises being run with incompetence now is the same as you being like, I love this guy, and then 3 days later he's dead.
Well, I'm just saying, like, Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston on the same, like we can talk. Okay, we can talk about like Kobe. I put out that video and Kobe dies the next day, which is insane. Like, Kobe literally dying in a helicopter crash the day after I put out a video about why he's overrated, that I had literally sitting in the queue. I mean, look, that's insane for context. Like, that's the fact that I had that ready and I was waiting. I don't know if you remember where I dropped it when LeBron passed him.
Yeah, I remember,
in points. So I waited. I mean, look, that's insane.
And then he dropped himself because LeBron passed him in points.
It's insane. But it's also insane if you would have asked me 7, 8 years ago that both Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston would end up on your team as teammates.
Yeah, but here's my point, Andy. This isn't a curse. This is incompetence. You're Russ 1 of 1, and then there's Jameis 1 of 1 out there, and there's a bunch of people. There's literally millions. Andy, there's millions of people. There's millions of people that consider themselves football fans that will argue with you that one or both of these guys are actually competent QBs. And I'm saying, and I have been saying the whole fucking time, that they're not. I'm competent. The people running player personnel or GM or ownership or whatever of this team are not.
Okay, I just looked briefly. Over under wins is 5.5 right now for the New York Giants.
Chef's kiss. Perfect.
You go over or under.
Is there? Could there be a more perfect 5 or 6 wins? Do you want to draft 8th? Do you want to draft not high, but not middle? You don't even get a fucking middle round draft pick. You're like, do you want to draft 8th of 32? How would you like to win 5 fucking games while Russell Wilson gets sacked? And he's like, unlimited. There's, and again, everybody can fucking point to the fucking stats and do whatever they want. You listen, there are people out there who can point to why Carmelo Anthony is going to be without a doubt a first ballot Hall of Famer. Single last guy I'd want on my basketball team.
Well, I think we know basketball's a little different with Hall of Fame. It's way easier to get in the Hall of Fame. And you're not wrong. He will be.
He will be. And guess what? He's never, ever, ever, ever before or after in this world or in the next ever made a basketball team better.
So basically, you're hoping they would have just tanked. Like that would have been the move. I would think the logical move.
How about, and again, it keeps going back to this. I keep going back to this as an example. But like, how about going out and getting your team's backup because you don't know? Hey, this guy has what we like to call in the fucking business upside.
Yeah.
What if, hear me out. What if this guy's really fucking good? I mean, he came in and he played for Joe Burrow. He won the exact same amount of games. What if he's good? Let me tell you something without a fucking hint of a doubt. Neither of these guys are fucking good. They're not good.
You're not going to actually give up your Giants fandom.
I honestly do. Like,
I mean, look, let me just put in context for you, and for all the dirtballs listening, who we always hear about, like the difficulty with some of their teams. You still have seen four Super Bowls in your lifetime.
But at this point, it doesn't matter because they're not even. They're not even following their own fucking, like,
you can't handle the ineptitude.
There is no plan.
I gotcha. There's no plan, and that's frustrating.
And we're now spitting in the face of you're spitting in the face of your fan base. We don't have a plan. We're wasting your time and you're wasting your money.
I don't disagree. I think you're 100% accurate. And I've been very vocal on here saying, guys, if your teams continue to make bad decisions with zero foresight, I have no problem being like, dude, I'm out for a while.
Like I sit here fucking Charlie Day fucking murder gif. And all it leads back to is, I guess this coach and this GM think if they can win 7 games, they won't get fired.
Well, it's
that's it. That's
you know what that is. You're probably right. That's the person who works in bureaucracy or government who doesn't want to fix a problem because if they fix it, then they don't have a job. It's the same exact thing that you see, right? Like when you delve into things and you're like, so what exactly, it's office space. So what exactly do you do here to justify their job? Now, look, Joe, we do have some calls. I know you don't want to get to these. Dirtballs are calling about this. This is a very anticipated episode.
Here's what's so funny. I'm the only one that's ever been on the side. Like I've been like all the dirtballs now who have called to tell me you're a Russ hater. He's a fucking Hall of Famer are now going to call and be like, LOL. Jameis Winston, man. I don't know. I like him. He eats W's. LOL. You got him. I'm like, everybody like who wants to call and like tell me like I'm the only one who said the whole both of these guys fucking stink. And now we've got them and we're going to fucking stink. All right. So now all the guys who like, all right, let's take some calls from some people who thought Russ was a Hall of Famer 2 years ago. Let's go.
But again, I mean, you can say that he still is a boy. Like We don't like. He's one of those guys.
Carmelo Anthony's a Hall of Famer. So,
but again, that's like apples to oranges.
Yeah, it's apples to oranges. Both of them are hated by their teammates. Both of them never fucking won shit unless they were on good, unless they were on fucking great. Yeah. Look, what do you mean Carmelo never won anything? When he had fucking Jerry McNamara and Hakeem Warwick and Jim Boeheim and he was playing in college, he was fucking sick. All right, cool. Then they handed him the keys to the fucking kingdom and he stinks. And teams eat money to get rid of him.
All right, let's play some calls.
Hey, boys, it's Dirtball Preston. It's been a while since I've called, but I just had to. Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson on the motherfucking Giants?
I got nothing.
How you doing, Joe?
You can't hear this?
No. Sorry.
Damn.
Hold
Why
on.
of all the shows?
Let me see if I can change this. I mean, play it now. See what happens.
How are you doing? Do
Nothing.
you want?
Why would you not be able to hear that? Can you hear this?
Time for a little game.
No.
Nope.
Nothing.
I mean, I can try different speakers, but
well, I mean, I could exit and come out. It just does this thing end? Have we tried that before?
Play it again. Let's see.
Like if I exit.
I got it.
Boys, crazy-eyed Sam Bradford.
Okay, this is a different call, but we'll go back to the other call.
Here, long-time listener, long-time caller. Haven't called in a while, but this Giant situation is why I subscribe to Dirty Sports on Substack. I was going to call last week about Jameis, and my question is, do we live in a simulation? There's been some pretty crazy, bizarre connections with this podcast. Joe Prano, I love you, but God may want you to kill yourself. Can't wait for this NFL season. Condoms are for pussies.
Appreciate it, crazy eyes.
Hey, crazy eye Sam Bradford. Let me shut down one theory right out of the gate. If God was real, Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston wouldn't fucking suck.
Let's continue the calls. This is the one I tried earlier.
Hey, boys, it's Dirtball Preston. It's been a while since I've called, but I just had to. Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson on the motherfucking Giants? How you doing, Joe? How are you doing? Do you want to kill yourself? I feel bad for you, man. Hats off and good luck to the Giants. I hope you guys make Malik Neighbors happy. I truly do. But that is crazy. They dirty, boys.
What's like? Listen, I get the sentiment, but like, here's what people don't understand. You know what makes me want to fucking kill myself? Watching the Giants win 4 games every year. What makes me like you think I'm joking? This is going to like. I have no expectations. I'm not excited for football season. I won't fucking give a fuck about any of the games. I won't like I don't give a shit. Like it's a fucking, I just found out, me and my wife have been going through this thing. We haven't been getting along lately. We haven't whatever. We haven't been having sex. She's mad at me all the time, whatever. I'm like going through this turmoil. I'm going through this trauma. We're talking about it in fucking therapy. Then I woke up one day and I opened the phone. I picked up her phone and the ESPN app tells me she's been getting fucking a train run on her by 37 guys. I am now close to the situation. Like, we're not talking about this in therapy anymore. I'm not trying to work out my relationship. My wife has been getting filled up by the entirety of the rest of her coworkers at fucking Subway. Like, it's over. I don't like what's funny is like this whole like Joe's gonna fucking this is gonna be like I am now I don't
You've washed your hands clean.
I don't give a shit about this Giant season at all. In fact, the truth of the matter is this is, and again I go back to it, this is Carmelo Anthony on the Knicks. I root for your downfall at this point.
You root for the demise that we can turn the corner.
Honestly, I am hoping at this point, my hope for the Giants is that they get peak Russell Wilson and peak Jameis Winston and they win 0 games. And they have to, and the team
Arch.
Guess what? Who the fuck ever. But then you get into a position where you can't fuck it up. At this point, this is Carmelo Anthony on the Knicks all over again. I do not root for the New York Football Giants. I root against them.
We talk about obviously.
So guess what? This is like an easy root for me because I have Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. So if I'm rooting for them to be bad, guess what? They're going to serve it to me on a fucking platter.
Well, we talk quarterbacks are the main focus that you and I always have on the show when it comes to the NFL. And we talk about, in particular, drafting the right guy. And if you don't, and it's not always easy, it just sets you back. And ultimately, they were stuck in a bad spot because they won a road playoff game with Daniel Jones, who
still weren't stuck in a bad spot. They still weren't stuck in a bad spot.
Well, let's play this out. So they paid him.
So listen, the Commanders weren't stuck in a bad spot when they were the Redskins because Kirk Cousins put up they just franchised him.
So that's what you would have done.
You guys can go back and listen to the show and me say, and hear me say, we are in a position now where they're negotiating with Saquon and they're negotiating with Daniel Jones, and you can go back and listen, and you don't want Daniel Jones to be the 5th highest played quarterback in football, but at the same time, extend Saquon and make him the 5th highest played quarterback in football for one season while you figure it out. And then if he all of a sudden magically becomes Daniel Jones that he was in the playoff game for a whole season, then you're fine. All of these teams have done it. Again, statistically, and I know everybody who's on the Russell Wilson is a Hall of Famer campaign only gives a fuck about looking at things statistically. Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence are the same fucking player. And Trevor Lawrence is the 3rd highest paid quarterback in football. So the Giants doing that for one season while they saw, can we catch lightning in a bottle? Did he turn a corner? Is he going to be 300 yards per game and 75 rushing yards and 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown every game from now on? We finally unlocked him. We have a coach who knows what he's doing. We figured out this. And then guess what? The Eagles don't have Saquon. And right now the Giants don't have Daniel Jones. And then nobody's money's on the fucking books.
All right, I think we have one more call about all this.
Hey guys, Joey from Minnesota here. Been a minute since I called in. This call is for Joe Prano. Joe, I heard you talking about your frustration with the Giants recently, and I know they're doing really bad, but I just have to say I think you should try and be a little more thankful. They have... sorry, I'm not good with stats. I think they have 3 Super Bowls or 4 or something like that. The point is, I'm a Vikings fan. They have 0. And I understand how right off the bat that's going to make you say, oh, that's a loser mentality. That's why you don't have any. I'm not disagreeing with that. Man, I just think you should be more thankful because I saw this post on Instagram the other day, and the caption was ChatGPT predicts the next 100 Super Bowls. And I'm scrolling through, I'm like, okay, this is finally, okay, this might be when we win. The Vikings won once in the simulation in 2042. Bro, they had a hypothetical future made-up team with a snake for a logo that won it twice. If the Vikings don't win the Super Bowl within the next decade, I might just pop up in downtown Green Bay for what I'm calling October 7th, Part 2, Midwest Electric Boogaloo. Condoms are for AI. That post triggered me into planting a pipe bomb in the last Waymo I took. Condoms are also for anyone who doesn't check out my stand-up clips at Joey Capuano on YouTube and Instagram. I love you guys. Bye.
Oh, it's a little stand. By the way, Joey, I went and I looked at some of Joey's stand-up clips. I looked, Joey. You had me chuckling. He did a stand-up clip where it was like an October 31st Halloween theme. He was literally dressed as the Joker.
I'll check him out. Send to me later.
So Joey is kind of hitting on what I had said a few minutes ago of like, Bo, you do what you want. I'm not telling you, I don't really care. I'm just saying like you've experienced 4 Super Bowls in your lifetime. But you're basically saying I'm tapping the brakes until we change this, which is totally reasonable.
Well, it's not even about tapping the brakes. It's just like, I don't care.
Yeah,
like
that makes sense.
I don't care. Like, and then it's like, oh, you're a fucking bandwagon. You're a bandwagon. It's like, no, there are fucking for sure Giants fans that are convincing themselves that Russell Wilson's going to be good. Oh, man, he won the Super Bowl. And he won the Super Bowl here at MetLife, man. He threw for like 75 yards in that game. It was fucking sick, dude. He's the man. Like, he's going to be the one that fucking turns it around. It's like, it's not about fucking bandwagon. Here's the thing. The Giants, the Steelers, the Knicks, the fucking, Dallas Mavericks. It's laundry, man. It's laundry. Like, oh, fucking, how you're not rooting for the Mavericks, man? They won a ring in 2011. Some of us have gone our whole lives without a ring. I mean, you're going to be a fucking Knicks fan? You haven't won a fucking championship since the 70s? And the Mavericks are complaining. Yeah, guess what? Mark Cuban sold the team, and the guy who took it over, or the woman who took it over, or whatever, gave away arguably the best player in franchise history coming off of an appearance in the NBA Finals. It's okay to abandon the Mavericks right now 6 months after you played in the NBA Finals. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because they're proving that they're incompetent.
And I fully agree with what Joe's saying here, guys. Like, again, I've made my stance pretty firm. Like the whole band, like I don't call that bandwagon. It's. I always use the restaurant analogy. If I have a great restaurant, and there was one actually by us that we used to go to, and it got bought out, right? And they changed the name, and it had new management, and we went. And it was terrible service. We literally left. I left with my family. We couldn't wait any longer because you got 2 kids. You're like, I can't support you. If you guys are shitty now, it's no different than your team. Like if you make such bad decisions continuously, don't be, my mantra at this point is don't be the delusional fan who hops on Reddit, like you're saying, and be like, oh, I don't know. Anthony Davis, I don't know. Russell Wilson's a borderline Hall of Famer. All of a sudden, we don't like borderline Hall of Famers for $10.5 million. Steve Young is a Hall of Famer. I don't want him to quarterback the New York Football Giants in 2025. What makes it more difficult, too, is that the Eagles are good. They're not going anywhere. They played the Commanders in the NFC Championship. So 2 of the NFC East teams literally played to get into the Super Bowl.
That's
my point is like the division is you have a very difficult
that's
division.
honestly neither here nor there.
Okay.
Here, my big thing is, if I am the owner of the Giants, which obviously I am not, very clearly he is not making personnel decisions. We all watch Hard Knocks off season where he fucking mumbled his way out of the room over the Saquon thing, and then exactly what happened was what he said he didn't want to have happen. So obviously the team is in the hands of the coach and the GM. So it's the off season. We're getting ready for the draft. We have the 3rd overall pick. There's quarterbacks available, whether you like them or not, whatever. If I sit down with my coach and my GM, I would say, all right, you guys have decided that we're signing Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. I'm going to assume that we're not doing that because we want to win 0 games and have the 1st overall pick for Arch Manning next year. Because then it feels like I could just keep that money literally in my wallet and we could start Tommy Cutlets, right? Okay, so let's get that. I'm not even going to hear you guys talk about whether or not the plan here is to fully ass tank, because it seems like if that were the case, we wouldn't be spending money to fully ass tank. We could do that for cheaper. Okay, so I'm not going to let you guys answer that. So have another sip of water and prepare for the next question. We're a couple of years removed from winning a single road playoff game. Are you guys under the impression, is this brain trust of my coach and my GM, do you guys believe that signing Russell Wilson and Winston simultaneously gives us a chance to win 2 playoff games this year? Now, if they say yes, I fire them on the spot for incompetence. And if they say no, I fire them because what the fuck are we doing? Either way, you fucking fired. You fired. What's the plan here? You don't think Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson win us 2 playoff games this year. You don't. If you do, you're fucking incompetent liars. And if you don't think that, then what you're telling me is you are actively strategizing to be mediocre.
So,
in which case, get the fuck out of my sight forever.
you know what you're hitting on, and when we talk about owners, is that owners are smart. That's why they're NFL owners. They're billionaires, or they fell into it, whatever. They know how dumb fans are, though. You see my point? Like they lean in. They know. We talk about it all the time. There's no other sport where there's that type of optimism with the local fan base. So they know. You're right. There
Andy,
literally are people
by September, through when Russell Wilson plays fucking football games, because he's no longer, this protected. Oh, we can't, don't get our elite Hall of Fame quarterback hurt in play. When Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston carve up 3rd string defenses on the fucking Patriots in a preseason game, delusional fans will convince themselves we could be a wild card team. We could be a wild card team. Why can't we? We got neighbors. We signed Darius Slayton, who's never caught 15 balls, for $36 million. we still don't have a fucking tight end. Is Waller gonna have a breakout year? No, he retired because he sucks. Like, delusional fans are going to convince themselves.
I agree.
Meanwhile, I've told every single person that listens to this podcast, if you believe, for fucking a decade plus, if you believe Russell Wilson's coming in here and leading your team in some sort of way, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, my point that I was making was that they do lean into what you're talking about, And it doesn't matter whether you're the Giants or any fan base. I'm sitting in that right here. The mindset of greater Cincinnati, everybody I talk to, they're going to the Super Bowl. And when I look at people in the face and I go, they're running back the same team that went 9-8 2 years in a row. They are running it back. Free agency is basically over. They are running it back. Oh, they signed Chase and Higgins. They had Chase and Higgins. They're going to sign Trey Hendrickson. They had Trey Hendrickson. But that's my point. Of these fans, they are delusional. It doesn't mean a team can't improve. Of course it can improve. But with mostly the same team, the Bengals are not making a deep playoff run. They're not. They're not. Sorry. And the Giants aren't making a deep playoff run. I agree. It's like, but that's my point, is that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but everybody knows that. But now I have to, but my point is the reason that this is incompetent is because you're letting guys lie to your face and tell you, yeah, we could. They don't believe that. They don't believe that. The only legitimate explanation for these moves is let's win 8 games and try not to get fired. Let's show glimpses of, oh, Jameis Winston and Russ. Oh, Malik Neighbors had a 250-yard, 3-touchdown game and a loss to the Browns 41-40. But maybe we're building if your goal isn't to, you're 3 seasons removed from winning one road playoff game. If you either tell me you believe this makes us win potentially outside shot at 2 playoff wins, or let me win 0 games for cheap with Tommy Cutlets, and let's sell a whole lot of fucking foam fucking Italian hands.
Yeah. You know, it's again, it's just the reason why it's such a popular sport is because everybody believes. Whereas, we can pivot into baseball from here. Well, first of all, before we pivot, I just want to say you should just chill out. Baseball's here. Just crack open like a cold Miller Lite.
Listen, Andy, I was thinking about it, and I'm gonna have to see. Listen, the reason we're going early today is my girlfriend, my fiance, might be having surgery, but today could be, my schedule's up in the air today. Let me just say this: if my schedule frees up, like it might, I'm thinking tonight is a Friday night Apple TV. Houston Astros, New York Mets, opening weekend baseball live with some Miller Lights.
Oh, wow.
But we shall see. It's all very much up in the air right now. But listen, whether that happens live on Substack tonight or not, one thing is for sure. Many a Miller Lights will be consumed this weekend by me whilst watching baseball.
And it should. Right? It's
the best to me. This is everybody likes to talk about football and tailgating and a beer and a football game. To me,
you say this baseball.
It's not even close. It's not even close to me. Cracking a Miller, like when I hear the SNY Mets pregame intro and the sound, like heaven for me. They always talk about the meeting the St. Peter as the pearly gates open. You always hear the same thing. It's the Simpsons opening. It's the angels singing that say you are in heaven. Right? That for me is hearing the music of the SNY Mets opening with a cracked golden Pilsner, the original light beer. When that SNY music hits and I add the to it, that's my angels singing. That's God. That's God for me.
Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories, Go to MillerLite.com/dirty sports to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. So the opening day was yesterday. Look at me. I watched a lot of an opening day game. Look at me.
Which
Prano.
the Reds game?
I watched a lot of it
Great.
on my iPhone on YouTube.
Did they
TV.
win?
They lost. Classic Reds. 3-2 lead heading into the ninth, down to the final out. They don't have the closer. Diaz is hurt, so it's makeshift. So they got a couple guys on base, first and second. They got to get one out, give up a single, tie game. Then Flores, former Met, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jacks a 3-run bomb.
Yeah,
So
Wilmer.
just like
famous for crying after getting traded and the trade getting revoked. And
that's right. So they lost. They blew a ninth inning lead with one out to go. But I was watching. So look at me. Look at me.
It's great.
I'm not gonna lie. The Francona hire.
Ooh, it's got you a little turned.
Well, how can it not? You're like, okay, I don't know shit about baseball because I haven't followed it closely enough, but I'm like, I know the Reds have like a decent young core of players, including pitchers. So I'm like, and Hunter Green pitched pretty well yesterday. Not his best, but he pitched pretty well. I'm like, right, like, but you tell me, like, the Reds have a little thing where it wouldn't be a shock if they win the division.
Listen,
right?
the Mets right now, obviously I have high hopes and high expectations for the Mets. And Francisco Lindor and the way he carried this team the last couple of years and him being the captain and all that is a big reason that obviously Juan Soto signing is a big deal, but the cornerstone of this team is the way the culture changed when Francisco Lindor got there. And he is on the record. Anytime anybody will hear him talk of saying the way I lead, the way that this locker room exists, this is because I came up with Francona and him teaching me this is what you're supposed to be like. This is how you're supposed to lead a team. My young days with that guy as my manager taught me everything I know about how a locker room should exist. And, in baseball, more than any other sport, because it's such a grind, culture is of the utmost importance. Now we've gotten certainly to a point we're back to a 90s Yankees situation with the Dodgers where they're just outspending everybody in there. And it, in the end, it's going to be the league versus the evil empire, but somebody's got to win the NL Central.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to win the NL East, and somebody's got to be a wild card team and whatever. And, building a culture is where you start. The Cincinnati Reds are never going to outspend the Dodgers, but you have to, you got to start with, if you're not going to outspend, you better outbuild. And, the general consensus from everybody that's ever played for him is Terry Francona knows how to build a culture.
And I also don't think he comes out of retirement, right? Like he could choose where, like, he was the most coveted guy as far as retired manager.
Now, questionable thing. He's in his second, like, it seems like he might like Ohio, which is, which is very questionable.
How dare you? How dare you offend
He's just like,
my state?
I like it here. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Sad news. Saw this coming. Sundance chose Boulder.
Yep.
And Cincinnatians, of course, taking it personally. What did I say all along? Guys, they're going to choose a more scenic city than the Chili River over here. So,
and I like Boulder as a city, but I don't know. To me, having just been to Park City for the first time and then having actually gone to Sundance, which obviously the festival is in Park City, it's not in Sundance.
Why are they leaving Park City? Park City's beautiful.
The general feeling is that it's outgrown the city.
Okay.
Like, Park City's not that big. It's it's a strip of.
No, I know. I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that it's outgrown it.
I got you.
It seems like, listen, it does seem, for somebody who was just there, Park City's 25 minutes from Salt Lake City. It just seems like, why wouldn't this just be something based in Salt Lake City with a satellite in Park City and a satellite in Sundance and whatever? But I guess if you're going to centralize everything, listen, I like Boulder, but it feels weird.
I just had a flashback. Sorry. I just had a Park City flashback that I'm giggling.
Is that a gay ski week flashback?
Dude, when we left to go to Salt Lake to fly back, there was this the guy who organized Gay Ski Week he had his he was like 45. He had like a 20-year-old, like probably not 20, like a 25-year-old young boy toy. And he was the guy driving us back to the airport. Dude, I thought I was gonna die. Just this flaming little like 6 a.m. just zipping around, it's like mountainous, just zipping around. And I was like, am I gonna die? Anyway, total side story. But to get back to baseball, I did watch. I think there's obviously a lot of, like I said, a lot of like high hopes. But I tweeted this, and I told you I wanted to bring this up. I can't get over it. Like I'm watching the Reds game, and I just can't get over it. The Reds have a Bet MGM logo on their field, painted on their field, while the game is airing on the FanDuel Sports Network. On top of that, they're showing live in-game betting odds for players while I'm watching the game. On top of that, Pete Rose was honored before the game. His daughter and granddaughter brought out the ceremonial ball, whatever it is, not the pitch, but like bring out the ball. And he's banned from baseball. And I just couldn't. I was like, this is too funny to me. Again, there's one betting company literally on the field, painted on the field. Airing the Reds games this year will air on the FanDuel Sports Network. And arguably the Reds' most famous player, hometown hero for Cincinnatians, is also banned.
Not for long, Andy. Not for long. We're getting him reinstated. When you go to the airport, no more body scanners, even though that was put in by Republicans as a way to give Boeing money, and no more Pete Rose banned from baseball. I'm taking care of it. It's all good. A lot of people are saying, don't you mind that he fucked a 15-year-old when he was an adult man? And I say, obviously I don't. Obviously I don't care about that at all. In fact, I wish I'd been invited.
So just the levels of irony of also talk about, crazy guy Sam Bradford's like, we live in a simulation. To me, that's how I felt. I was like, this is a simulation. This is
it's not even that deep. It's just like baseball, like the hypocrisy around baseball. I love the game so much. I love Major League Baseball in terms of like the history of the teams in the league, and I love the game. But like as an organization, Major League Baseball, I mean, I'll be totally honest with you, Andy. I know it's something close to your heart as a Cincinnati guy. It's not top 50 fucking but Major League Baseball fuck ups.
No, you're probably right. Like, and here's my thing. Like, I'm not saying like he shouldn't have bet on baseball. I've never. There's no part of me that's like, oh, that's totally fine. It's not. But again, to not see the irony, or those people who are like, oh, he bet. And I'm like, guys, how do you not see this? This whole situation is comical. And again, I don't know why they don't admit, and you're right, baseball more than all the sports. I want to say something about that as far as like the futures. We talk about the future of baseball a lot. Guys, I have never been one, neither of you. We've never been one to side with these billionaire owners, ever. But I'll say this much. I was like reading an article today talking about like it was just listing stats, the disparity. You talked about it, the payroll, the Dodgers and everybody else. I understand the players are saying, why should I have a limit on what I make? I understand player empowerment, especially in this age. And the owner should pay us what we deserve and what we earn. I understand that. But guys, there has to be a compromise for the sport. There has to be a salary cap. Like players
and a salary floor.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. And a salary floor. Players, like, you have to see the future of your game, man.
No one sees the future of.
They don't.
Listen, Andy, there are baseball fans. So this is something, it flew under the radar for sports fans in general, unless you're just like a psychotic Major League Baseball fan. But baseball opened 2 weeks ago with a series between the Dodgers and the Cubs in Japan.
Yeah.
When I say shocker in the world we live in today, a bunch of old white baseball fans are horrified at this. Horrified.
They've been doing this for years, though.
Why is this happening at 3 a.m. and for a bunch of fucking Asians that I don't give a shit about? Why are we ruining what's opening day supposed to be? So a bunch of fucking, sneak attack in Pearl Harbor Asians can get this 3 weeks early. And I said, baseball, Major League Baseball is dying. If you are criticizing the Tokyo series, you are rooting for baseball not to exist in 25 years. You are rooting for the league to not exist. You are sitting on your racist high horse pretending to defend the game, and you're actively rooting for the game to cease to exist.
Now, I will admit, we've talked about this. I always did like the tradition with the Reds being the oldest team, and that broke again with the Japan series in the 90s. The Reds always, even if it was by like a minute, had the first pitch. I thought that was a cool tradition.
Guess what? It's the same tradition if they do it, if the Reds have the first pitch of the season after the Tokyo series.
Which yeah, is fine. I don't really care. Yeah, they go in Tokyo, whatever. I don't ultimately care, but
you should care. It spreads the game
I mean, the game is obviously very strong in Japan already.
Yeah, the game of baseball.
The game of baseball.
But we need them to be psycho about Major League Baseball. Because look what's happening in the NBA. The NBA, and again, not to get fucking political, but every time fucking Clay Travis tweets that the NBA is going broke, I imagine Adam Silver lays down on the brick of money like the guy in the Breaking Bad meme and pisses himself laughing. Calvin and Hobbes pisses into his own mouth laughing at the hilarity.
But why even acknowledge? Because that whole mantra of broke is just a lie. It's just a lie. It's just not true.
Right.
But that's my point. Why even acknowledge somebody who continues to spew that, which again is just 100% factually incorrect based on revenue, based on TV deals, based on growth, based on social media. Those are all just lies. They're lies.
Yeah, I know.
My advice would be don't even acknowledge him. Fuck him. He's full of shit. When he says those things, or when anybody says those things, it's just a lie. Everything is a lie.
Right.
You're like, I still will.
Well, no, I'm just listen. Sadly, and I like you've always been one of like kind of like appreciate. It's like you would be surprised at the things that like The messages I get from people who are like, I listen to your show, but you're a fucking cuck libtard loser. And I'm like, okay, I've never voted for a Democrat. I've voted for one Democrat my whole life for president of the United States, John Kerry. Like, I'm the only fucking person who's fucking has consistent values. But the idea, like, the messages from people who listen to our show and hear this all the time that are like La Flop and his love of China are why the NBA, and you're like, okay, all right, if you say so.
I know, but again, that's the money. We're talking about money here. The money thing is just, the same for all the sports. They're all fine financially.
Well, not baseball.
Well, I mean, baseball is getting TV deals dropped, so baseball is a little different.
Which is why baseball should do exactly what fucking the NBA did and focus on Asia.
But again, Joe, like bring it back. Like you need a salary floor and you need a salary cap. Like that's why I'm saying both the owners need it and players have to, like, you guys have to both compromise. As in, the owners, you need a salary floor. Don't be a cheap ass. And the players, look, and again, at a certain point, do you want your game to survive?
Hey, but guess what? Guess what? The NBA has max contracts.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't need that does not need to exist. You can say, we don't cap how much a player can make, but we cap how much a team can spend. There's no max contract in football. And some teams put themselves behind the 8 ball by paying certain guys too much. Don't cap player salaries. Let them cap themselves by baseball going like, this is the cap on how much you can spend as a team. You can spend it all on one player, or you can spend it not all on one player.
Exactly. You can throw all this money at a quarterback and 2 wide receivers, or a different team goes, I'm going to spread that wealth. I just don't like. I don't know when the next agreement is up for baseball as far as the negotiations. They have to see, like, again, everybody has to see this. Like, you again, we talk about the vibe of heading into football season, and there's going to be delusional Giants fans who are like, we can win 11 games with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Like, you just don't get that with baseball. Like, you want the positive vibe. You need to get that. It's not good. It's just not good for the game, man.
And again, I'm the guy who in the 1990s was talking about this because the Yankees were spending all the money. Now the Mets are spending more money than anybody, and I'm still fucking doing this because, again, once again, just like I fucking said, Russell Wilson has been mediocre for fucking the entirety of the show. Like, I'm a man of consistent values. It's the rest of you that are fucking embarrassing yourself.
Mediocre? Listen to this guy. You know, if Russ gets in the Hall of Fame, we're going to go. You're going to fly into Cincinnati. We're going to drive up to Canton. We're going to eat some danger witches, which, by the way, are not going to exist. Forgot to mention that. NFL drop Subway for Jersey Mike's is the official sub I saw.
I'd rather Danny DeVito as the quarterback of the New York Giants. I wish our quarterback room was Danny DeVito and Tommy DeVito.
A remake of Twins.
Yeah.
So what's the expectation for the Mets this year? Like it's basically World Series for you, right?
Well, my expectation or my
no, like the hope.
Yeah, the hope is a World Series. Obviously, the Dodgers on paper are once again the best team in baseball. The Mets are in an extremely tough division. The Braves are pretty fucking stacked. The Phillies were really good last year. But 3 teams make the fucking wild card. Like, the Mets were a wild card team last year. The Mets had to had to win, a game in the doubleheader on the last day of the season. That was an extended day just to get into the playoffs, and they made the NLCS. The Mets have an extremely stacked lineup as well, starting off the year with a bunch of injuries. But, the Mets don't – it's April. It's not even April. It's March still. So the Mets were terrible to start the year last year. I don't expect them to be terrible to start the year this year, but you got to tread water for a little while. You got to get all your guys back. The Mets had the best record in baseball after June 1st last year. The Mets have an extremely great clubhouse in terms of the chemistry and the guys all liking each other, which is important. So it's like, obviously you'd like the Mets to win the NL East. Do I think the Mets win the NL East? I certainly think they could, and I think that they should, but I wouldn't necessarily bet on it if you gave me even money. Not the goal, it was, the Mets got to the NLCS last year. So yeah, the expectation, not the expectation, but like a successful season for the Mets this year is winning the World Series. Otherwise, you have achieved what you achieved last year and not more.
Yeah.
And you could say, oh, well, they could get to the World Series and lose. It's like, once you get there, like, you just,
I'm going to hit up a YouTube question from G. Marty Hunt. Joe, what do you think about the New York 5 Boroughs mascot race?
Is
that Mets?
Yeah. So they've added, all these teams do these races. The Mets have added the 5 borough mascot race. So there's like a Brooklyn slice of pizza.
So it's playing off the Brewers.
Yeah. And a Staten Island ferry and I don't know, a Manhattan Central Park jogger, or I don't know what it is, but like there's 5 mascots and they'll race. I think something that, you have to be thoughtful. Like, do I give a fuck about that at all? No. If I'm at the game, if I'm at the game, they're like, and now this break in the inning is going to be slightly longer than it usually is because we do the 5 mascots. I'm like, I'm going to get a Miller Lite and a sausage and peppers.
Yeah.
So like, I don't give a shit, but you've got to remember some things are for kids.
For sure.
And the most important thing about the number one thing, like, and again, I don't think baseball is doing this, but they should. The Mets seem like they might be doing this, but the one that baseball is never thoughtful about the future. And if they are, they're thoughtful about it in the wrong ways. But listen, like I have no opinion on the New York mascot race other than like kids will probably like it and good. But listen, the Mets were just voted the best food in baseball for the 3rd year running. They continue to roll out like extremely fucking great food at Citi Field. Steve Cohen has, I am biased, but I love Citi Field. I've always loved Citi Field. I've gone to a lot of ballparks. Here's to show you again. I say I'm biased because people are going to say you're biased because you're a Mets fan. I hated Shea Stadium. I hated it. I thought it was embarrassing to play in that stadium for as long as they did. Great memories there. That's neither here nor there, but it was a fucking dump. I love Citi Field, and Steve Cohen has significantly improved the Citi Field experience when it was already pretty good. So do I think we need a dance team? No, but again, like baseball's dying. So do a thing for the kids, do a thing for the women, do a thing for do a thing for everybody because we need it. So like, I don't really have any opinion on the New York 5 borough race, but cool. But I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think stuff like that's good for the kids. You have to keep them entertained. You have to keep them interested. You have to keep them wanting to come back.
Listen, I feel everybody's like the Prano curse, the fucking whatever. Look what's going on. It's like I feel the complete opposite about the Mets as I do about the New York Giants, and as I do about like the Knicks are in a position where they are, which is they're pretty good. They're probably not winning the championship this year, but like they're a great team because James Dolan, who's a complete and total buffoon, has finally stepped away from this situation. Steve Cohen, for whatever you think about him personally or whatever, Steve, let me put this. Whatever team you root for, in whatever sport you root for, I say this not jokingly. Your team would be improved if you're an NBA fan, a baseball fan, a basketball fan, a hockey fan, a soccer fan, whatever team you root for out there, across all the sports, your team would get better if Steve Cohen bought it from your owner. I don't care who your owner is. I know there's great owners in baseball. Your team would be improved by Steve Cohen buying your team. He is spending to win. Their analytics department went from like 3 guys to 35 guys. They're outfitting a whole thing, so they're going to have the leading video. But like the dude is like, what do we have to do to win? I will do it. What do we have to do to make his fan experience better? I will do it. What do we have to do to make the food better? I will do it. What do we have to do to make our lineup better? I will do it. This is when we talk about sports, and we started the show with like, hey, what the fuck's going on in this ownership situation? Maybe it's just when God hates Joe Prano, or maybe just like there's balance, it's the balance of the force. It's like I got fucking for years, I had thank God for the New York Giants because the fucking Wilpons are the devil. And all of a sudden I got arguably the best owner in all of sports, and we have to balance it out somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I know you're on a little bit of time crunch today.
Well, we got to do. I haven't gotten a text that I got to run out the door for surgery just yet. We got to talk LeBron on McAfee, Stephen A.
Yeah, for sure. Did you?
I got to say, LeBron James has done so many insane, incredible things. As a basketball fan, again, I openly and actively dislike the state of Ohio. The Miami Heat are.
Why do you keep taking digs at my state?
I'm just saying.
What is your problem with Ohio?
We don't have enough time. Okay, let's skip that for now. We can come back to that on a different.
What cities have you been to in Ohio? Cincinnati,
Cleveland. What other cities are there in Ohio?
When were you in Cleveland?
Mid aughts, 2006.
We'll get back to this conversation.
Yeah,
go back to LeBron.
My point is there's no reason for me to fucking love LeBron James based on like where he came from, where he played, where whatever. Like I love him because he's the greatest basketball player of all time, and I love basketball. The block in the Game 7 of the Cleveland series, the all-time scoring leader, all the dunks, all the buzzer beaters, all the whatever. Arguably, the greatest thing LeBron's ever done is posting that fucking video of Stephen A. Smith boxing in slow motion. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
We talk about simulations. This whole thing is, I have not watched or listened to the McAfee thing yet. I saw clips, of course. I will. I haven't listened.
A couple takeaways from it. First of all,
what?
LeBron's New York Parks and Rec Nike pullover that he was wearing. I was like, where do I buy this thing?
Well, I think LeBron has to. He's been too. My critique of him off the court is like, dude, you've been too calculated, and it's like, just do more things like this. where you're
But
kind of
this was,
just
I would argue this was calculated. I argue he went
Oh, it
in and
is.
sat down with Pat McAfee and was like, I'm going to talk about flopping. I'm going to talk about
No,
Stephen A.
it
I'm going
for
to
sure
talk
was
about the
calculated.
books that I read. I'm going to talk about
Yeah.
Bronny. I'm going to talk about little Michael Jordan. I'm going to talk about old heads in the 70s. And
No. I agree with you. It was calculated, but by that I mean like just sit down with a group of guys you're normally not going to sit down with and exactly entertain questions about the books, entertain questions about Jordan, about like the Stephen A. This whole thing is just it's gotten to the point for me of just like, okay, like why are we like LeBron, you guys are both fueling it. Like I get it, but you know what I'm saying? It's entertainment, but like they're both fueling it. I mean it's absurdities. The thought of Stephen A punching LeBron, like it's insane. His comeback, like that he would hit LeBron. It's insane. It's insane.
Again, this goes to the thing. It's like, what's wrong with the world? That any single person, this is what's wrong with the world. That any single person, one, including his immediate family, is Team Stephen A in this beef.
Well, again, my beef, not my beef. My thing with the beef is like they're both just fueling it by not stopping it. You talk about calculating, like LeBron.
Yeah, but listen,
LeBron
LeBron didn't publicly. He went at Stephen A with hand over the mouth on the sideline of the game. No camera. I'm stop talking about my kid.
Oh, shut the fuck up about that. He went over to. Of course, he knows everybody's gonna be filmed. He went over to the middle of the game. Is my point. He didn't have to do that. He's only fueling this whole thing. They both are.
Hold on. What, like, the other option is call Stephen A. So like Stephen A. Smith, we only know what was said because of Stephen A. Smith.
It's not like LeBron can't get access to Stephen A. if he wants to talk to him.
I understand that, but I'm saying historically, everybody goes, man up, say it to my face. That's what he did.
But which again he doesn't have to do in the middle of a basketball game. My thing is, LeBron, you're only what Stephen A. is going to do. You're literally only helping him. Just ignore, like either do it off camera. I mean, look, Stephen A. is just it's like a sponge. He's going to squeeze out as much of this as possible.
But dude,
you're the greatest basketball player of all time, man.
Stephen A. in this beef is Drake, and LeBron is Kendrick Lamar. And it was just as pathetic that there's ever anybody that was on fucking Drake's side. But bro, like Vince Carter meme, it's over, dude. You talked about you were gonna knock out LeBron James, who's 6'9", 275, and then he put up a video of you like in an old age home throwing uppercuts in slow motion. It's it's over, dude. Dog, you lost. It's over. Like it reminds me of the scene from Step Brothers. Like, what are you doing? I'm burying you.
But my point again is that like we're still talking about this. Like to me, it's not about taking us. Like I don't really care. I'm just like, this is again like peak 2025 is all I'm saying. This whole situation. Like, dude, you're LeBron James. You're the fucking LeBron James. Who gives a shit what Stephen A. says?
Like, sadly, way too many people. The ESPN now, the worldwide leader in sports, the place that, whether you like it or not, is still the place to go, employs two people. It employs Pat McAfee and everybody who works for Pat McAfee, and it employs Stephen A. Smith.
Did you see the latest with ESPN?
No.
They're shutting down. I mean, they're having problems. They're ending the LA edition of Sports Center. Everybody has to relocate to Bristol. So that studio across from the Staples Center. Like,
because you went all in on Stephen A. Smith.
well, they just went all in on Talking Head Sports hot takes. And there's a million of those out there now. I mean, he's getting $20 million a year. $20 million.
Yeah.
Stephen A's getting $20 million a year to literally get viral clips.
Yeah, but he doesn't get viral clips.
Yeah, he does. Dude, those clips they do well on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah, but guess what? ESPN's not even smart. Like, I watch it on fucking Stephen A. Smith at Stephen A. Smith's page, or I watch it on
That's
the
my
NBA.
point.
No one. ESPN's not monetizing it. People aren't going to ESPN to see it. It's like you can talk about, oh, it's getting attention, but how is it getting attention for you? Like you're not turning this into green dollars in any way, shape, or form. You are just lighting money on fire for Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'd assume there is some sort of return on investment, or they wouldn't pay him that much. You would assume if they keep giving him raises.
if that was true, they wouldn't continue. They're shutting all the factories down.
No, I know. I don't know. I would legitimately want to see the effects, the revenue. I just think as a brand, they just don't know what to do, right? The flagship sports center that you and I grew up on with Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann, that was must-see TV, and it was so funny and it was so good. You know, if we're talking 90s, like social media just is like, I don't need that. Like, take, for example, last night. I wasn't watching the Bulls-Lakers game. Definitely watched a bunch of clips at the end. That was an insane ending. That was insane. They're down 5 with 12 seconds to go. That was insane. I watched it a few times on some Joe Schmo's Twitter feed.
Yep.
You know, and that's what they have to figure out. And it's fine. Like if ESPN, if they're smart, if it's about saving money, if I'm running ESPN, I just say, we'll just stick to broadcasting. We have the rights to all these different sports leagues, to all the like again, I don't know what their ad revenue would be on those morning shows and what they see, but it's like, I would pose the question, and maybe they are, do we really need this stuff? Or do we just want to air games? I don't know. But like, all those guys have control. Pat McAfee has pretty much control. Stephen A. had like those, like their top dogs. It's like Pat does it in Indianapolis. Stephen A.'s deal says I can.
Yeah, but you know what? Pat McAfee and Stephen A. Smith could not be more polar opposites of how they got to where they are, what they bring to the table.
100%.
Pat McAfee was like, I do this thing, and people go, we love it. And ESPN's like, listen, more people watch this podcast than watch our network. Why don't we use money to go get this podcast and put it on our network? You and I have talked about probably not super smart for Pat McAfee, but very smart for ESPN. Counterpoint. No one likes or enjoys this guy. Let's keep shoving him down people's throats, even if it costs us $20 million. What does Stephen A. Smith do, host, whatever? Like, it's.
I think a lot of people do enjoy him, though. I think you're wrong there. I think there is.
Which is, again, it goes back to we come all the way back around to my point. Everything that's wrong with society is that any single person is on his side, enjoys it. What do you, if you're listening, I assume not that many people, I assume no one who listens to our show enjoys Stephen A. Smith, but like,
I know there are. I guarantee there are.
But if you are listening, when he regularly gets wrong just like guys in the league.
Was it Hunter Henry? Who was it?
Yeah. What, like, he doesn't know sports. He's a caricature of a sports.
My favorite was, do you remember when they tried him with UFC?
Watch sports.
Do you remember when they tried that experiment? Yeah. It failed.
What? So so imagine just being like, I like that he's so loud and so wrong.
Abrasive and
but like not funny, not smart.
But I've chuckled.
Informed.
I've chuckled at the again the caricature at times. I'm like, this is so ridiculous. There's a reason there's a reason I laugh at your Stephen A. That's the whole point. Like, he's so absurd. When you do Stephen A, I'm laughing because I'm like, oh, this literally is how Stephen A sounds. Now, am I seeking it out? No. People do. So I mean, it's why Skip Bayless was a thing. Dude, people just feel. Dude, you go in these forums, these fan bases.
Stephen A. or Skip Bayless was rage bait. He created a character to rage bait you. Stephen A. Smith thinks he's making like good points about sports. Skip Bayless doesn't think Dak Prescott's better than Tom Brady. That's a character. Stephen A. thinks, had LeBron gotten in my face, I'd have punched him in the mouth. Meanwhile, LeBron did get in your face. He's standing right in front of you, and you shit in your Philadelphia 76ers diaper, even though you're cosplaying as a Knicks fan.
Cosplaying. Did you watch the LeBron thing on McAfee or listen?
I watched. I was on the internet. I was on like my phone, and then somebody on TikTok was just like streaming it live. Like they were just. It was some rando's account, and I was like, "Is this live?" And then I put it on. So I don't know how much of it I missed, but whenever it hit my thing, I then threw it on the TV and watched it from there on out. And like I just remain like LeBron is not perfect as like a human or as a personality or as like a product or even as a basketball player. But I don't know. There's some part of me again that like hates where we've become as like sports fans or whatever. It's like, in my opinion, he's infinitely more likable than Michael Jordan. Like, and then people were like, "Oh, how do you not like Mike?" And it's like, LeBron James is like, I would like a nice guy.
I would disagree with that Jordan assessment.
You would disagree with it?
I would think. Well, so here's my thing. I think it's tough to say until you meet these guys. This isn't me saying I like Mike better, for the record. This is me just like taking an outside look at. I think Michael's commercials were like really made him seem likable.
Right. That's well. Again, this is the whole Michael Jordan, LeBron.
Look, whether there's that's true or not, I don't know.
Right. That's my point. This is the crux of the Michael Jordan, LeBron, Michael Jordan, any athlete debate. 90s commercials made you believe a lot of shit about Michael Jordan. That's like why the reason.
Okay, let me ask
you. Hold on. The reason 100% of people don't think LeBron James is a GOAT is 90s commercials did a great job making you think certain things about Michael Jordan.
I don't disagree there, but let me pose a question.
You got that he would ever talk to a child, for one. Like, oh, like Mike, he's like playing basketball with kids. Did you ever see like Michael Jordan with a kid? You ever see him like? You ever see like live video of Michael Jordan like talking to a kid?
Look, obviously we have the the factual history of how Jordan was and to his teammates, and we know everything. I guess I would ask this question: if you could hang out with, let's just say you're having a beer, shooting the shit, you're at a bar, you're wherever, you got to pick one of three: Jordan, LeBron, or Tom Brady. Who are you choosing?
If I'm having a beer, I mean, I assume LeBron James is coming in and drinking a glass of wine. But yeah, I'm taking LeBron.
You're taking LeBron, okay.
Tom Brady's not having a beer or a glass of wine or anything with you.
But in this
right?
circumstance, they are. That's why I said that. I'm probably going Brady. I know you're going to say, what the fuck, Ruther? I think.
Let me ask you something. If you sat down with Brady, if Brady walked into a bar and pulled him, if you sat down at a bar, and this happened to me with like Adam Sandler. I'm sitting at a bar. All of a sudden, Adam Sandler is sitting next to me.
Okay.
I didn't feel the need to like poke Adam Sandler's skin to see if he was a human being and not a fucking robot sent there to pretend he's having a casual beer. I feel like I would need to do that with Tom Brady. I'd be like, is this real Tom Brady, or is this like a drone sent out to make Tom Brady seem like a human being for the people that dislike Tom Brady? He's like, no, I'm just here having a casual beer with friends. Tom, your hairline looks great. Totally natural. It totally makes sense. It's LeBron James has gotten so much for his fucking hairline. Meanwhile, LeBron James is just like gone bald and like tried to fight it back. Tom Brady was bald and now all of a sudden has the thickest head of hair of all time.
Brady was bald when?
Bro, Google Tom Brady in like fucking 2005. Like his hair was already receding. And now it's full ass back. Full ass. Also, Tom Brady has no gray hairs, 0.
Well, obviously he dies it. All these guys die it. I guess I never really paid attention to Tom Brady's hair. Yeah, I see what you're saying. All right. Well, you know, I would probably be more. I'd be
Hair
more
is totally real. Go ahead and tug on it.
I'd definitely be more starstruck with Jordan and LeBron than Brady.
Sure.
Maybe that's why I said Brady, because I'm like, I feel like I can actually talk to him. Even though
I feel like I wouldn't even notice. I feel like it would take me if LeBron James walked into a bar, I'd be like, holy shit, that's LeBron James. If Michael Jordan walked in a bar, I'd be like, what the fuck is this guy wearing? And then I'd be like, holy shit, that's Michael Jordan.
Big old jeans.
Like, I was like, is that guy in fucking Jenko jeans and a Carolina blue sweater vest?
I gotta listen. I gotta check it out then. I gotta see everything.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, give us a shout, guys. We do have a hotline, 310-359-8365.
Guys, my day's kind of up in the air. It's literally sending my fiance texts from the studio shed here into the main house to find out if we're like jumping in the car to take her to surgery. Everything's fine. She has a pacemaker because she has a heart condition. She has a, what is it called? Genetic heart condition. So she just needs her pacemaker changed. So everything's fine, but waiting to see if that happens. If not, I'm thinking maybe going live on the Dirty Sports Substack and my own personal Substack tonight for Mets at Astros Game 2 of the 2025 Mets season, which will air on Apple TV tonight. So if I'm around, I'll try to do that, but stay tuned. I'll send out a notice. You can schedule lives on Substack now. So turn on your Substack noties, as the kids say, just in case I decide to go live and drink, a totally responsible amount of Miller Lights. And I don't know, maybe grill up some hot dogs or something. I'm not a big hot dog guy. You know that about me, but maybe I'll order some pizza or get some Jersey Mike's.
Quality subs, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's the show. Thanks for tuning in. Not stooning in. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. And as always, stay dirty.